My name is...
The Legend of Heroes: Trails in the Sky, the first game in the Trail series that set the pillars for a 21-year foundation, the first game in the LaBelle trilogy, and the game that defined the Trail series we know and love today. We're not here to talk about the 2004 original. Today we're here to speak about the demo for the remake, developed by Nihon Falcom and published by GungHo. In today's review we'll dive back into the world of Zamiria where it all began, to compare the original to the remake and to answer the question, is this demo worth trying, and does it excite me for the full release? Let's find out in this spoiler-free review. Just to break a few things down quickly, this is not a review for the full game, just the demo, so I won't be going into depth with my thoughts. So if there's anything missing here, it will be in the full review. I will also compare the remake to the original throughout the video, so stick around for that. The demo comes with 4 to 6 hours of story content and around 10 hours of overall content to play through, so this demo is absolutely packed. So without further delay, let's get right into it. Now, the story of Trails started here, so it only makes sense that this remaster would have to do it justice, and wow, Falcom have really outdone themselves this time. Most of the original cast makes a return and are brought back to life yet again, perfectly replicated and full of colour. Their personalities aren't lost to time, but are instead enhanced with modern models and facial expressions, making each character feel even more alive. Especially Estelle, it's heartwarming seeing her classic smug expressions reimagined in a 3D setting. I also believe that the scriptwriters and translation team have done an exceptional job at bringing this classic story to modern audiences without changing the message behind the game to suit a new audience. Some dialogue has been changed or condensed, but it doesn't take anything away from the original story, it just makes story scenes move smoother and context clearer for new and old Trails fans who want to see how this ties in with the modern games. This will fix any retcons from the original or lore that has been altered in later entries to better fit the modern timeline, making the transition between each game clear to all audiences. It's not all perfect though, as there are a few issues, the first of which is the translation is inconsistent for the Switch version. Now the PS5 and PC version, from what I could tell, had zero noticeable issues, but let's just hope the translation team for the Switch can work on it before the final release. This game needs to be quality for Falcom if they wish to go mainstream. Now I believe as of the time of me saying this, they have patched it, so good on them, honestly. They are quick on it, and I really think that this team is putting everything they can into pushing this game out there and making it the highest quality remake they possibly can for all audiences. Two minor issues that I had was the font size. Sometimes paragraphs wouldn't fully fit into a text box or be slightly off screen. And my final complaint is the removal of auto mode. Now, I'm fine with this personally, but I know for some people, auto mode in dialogue heavy games is essential. Not everyone wants to manually click through dialogue. However, I'm not sure if this is a bug or something that will be added in the full release. But overall, Falcom has captured the heart of the original whilst blending aspects from old and new Trails games to recreate the perfect storytelling recipe. If we compare the camera angles from the original to the remake, as well as the expressions and dialogue, these characters are brought back to life, not as shadows of their former selves, but enhanced versions, brought to life with even more colour. It means so much to me that we get to see Estelle in all her smug expressions modernised without losing that sense of humour and character, and it also makes me excited to see how they handle certain character arcs and backgrounds. I'm intrigued to see if they change anything or enhance character backstories. Honestly, so far, each character we've met in the prologue has been done justice, which gives me hope. This truly is how you create a remake. Now for many years it's been hard to pinpoint where Trails newcomers should start. I'm glad to say this is exactly where to begin. Right at the start. From a story standpoint, this is already the greatest Trails game to pick up right off the bat. It's a love letter to the old and new fans that embraces its old identity whilst allowing room for the new without taking away any of that original charm, and I think that's absolutely spectacular. And as a demo, it hooks you in, making you want to experience the full product. It's presented well, it grips you in with nostalgia and gives me a warm feeling, seeing classic scenes brought into a new reality with modern camera angles and vibrant visuals. This is the game I fell in love with. It's here and it hasn't changed. Now I would love to speak about the game's story in depth and how I absolutely find it crazy that you get to play the whole entire prologue in this demo, but well, we'll save that for our in-depth review when the full game releases next month, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's move on. The combat of Trails has evolved in many ways over the course of 20 years. It started as a top-down, turn-based tactics, grid-focused system, to a 3D turn-based game with free command movement, and finally recently evolved into what it is now, a blend between both action and turn-based combat, debuting in Trails Through Daybreak, allowing the player to have the freedom to switch from action to turn-based at any point at a press of a button, with the exception of boss fights being restricted to turn-based battles, and that system returns here in Sky First and is even better than ever, with many improvements to the UI, as well as blending multiple mechanics from previous Trails games into one perfect recipe. First of all, the command and field battle system from Daybreak returns with a few improvements, but that's not all. Link attacks also make a return, similar to those found in the earlier Trails games, but with flashier animations, and it is completely seamless, allowing the player to freely choose how they want to play. You can go straight into the action, dodge an enemy attack, build up that stun meter and break those defenses. Then with a click of a button, you instantly enter turn-based combat with zero delay. Action mode is great for dealing with small or weak enemies suited to grinding, whilst turn-based mode is suited towards strategic combat against tough enemies and bosses. But that's not all, there are some new and old additions that give us a preview as to what the combat loop will be like moving forward in the series. First of all, escorts are back, which are NPCs that you will need to protect during battles or story missions. Most do not partake in battles and will only run away, but some will try to assist or help you through other means. If an escort is knocked down, it's game over, so it adds a sense of strategy and difficulty. We also have the usage of auras, which are abilities that can be used to buff your character, making your attacks even more powerful and your buffs even tankier, almost like the boost ability in Daybreak. Now, something I found really interesting here is the fact that during action mode, enemy behavior can vary. For instance, range enemies will move far away from you just to shoot at you from a distance, and others that specialize in speed will dodge close-up attacks with ease. It seems that the enemy AI has greatly improved since Daybreak 2, and I'm all for it. I also love the fact that this game is actually difficult, which is something I've been missing since Cold Steel. The Daybreak games were far too easy, battles ended too quickly, and there wasn't much challenge to be found. But that classic punishing Trails difficulty is back for vengeance. Now, of course, this is the demo version, so the later game may be much easier with builds and levels, etc. But so far, I've actually struggled a few times, needed to rest up and try again or keep my guard up. Granted, I'm playing on hard mode, but it does go to show that the game is bringing back that classic punishing combat, or at least that's what it seems like to me. Overall, the combat in Sky First is not only a massive improvement that embodies all of what makes Trails great and makes use of old and new mechanics perfectly, but also captures the difficulty and classic feel of the original. Yes, the formula has evolved, but not to the point where it doesn't feel like a Sky game, though I can see where some players may not like the evolved combat system and prefer the simplicity of the original. I believe that is just a matter of perspective. I mean, if they use the same combat system from the original, it'd feel very outdated with today's standard. It worked in 2004, but wouldn't here. Though I do believe both games can still be enjoyed despite their differences gameplay-wise. Me personally, I cannot wait to see how it evolves throughout the full product, as it seems to be the future foundation for Trails. Trails in the Sky has always stood out in the Trails series, not just for being the beginning, but also for its art style, because compared to every other Trails game, the art style is completely different. It had this dual green filtered look to its environments, but the cast and world was colourful enough to make sure it had something striking and vivid about it. And as the Trails series has transitioned into what we have today, the original looks like a whole entire different game, part of a different franchise, but with the remake that changes completely. It adapts the modern look of Trails for its sprites and models because of modern systems. It's able to fully express its colourful self with absolutely stunning green environments and vibrant visuals that the original wasn't able to fully take advantage of due to limitations. However, the game still looks and feels like a Sky game. It's got those dual looking areas, that beautiful green grass, stunning gold meadows, and that weirdly home-like feel. The remake is gorgeous. It's the most beautiful game to date. The Trails series has never been known for their graphics and always have been behind. But this is something that goes above and beyond my expectations. I felt my jaw dropping and my heart sinking, looking at the scenery and taking everything in. The world feels alive and full. Though I love the original, it's crazy to me seeing the world's full potential being put on full display. This is a remake that has stayed true to itself and hasn't lost its identity. It's a remake that does the original justice, that embraces modern visuals but doesn't lose touch of where it came from. I'm completely emotionally connected to this series, and it warms my heart to see this game 21 years later ready to be shown to new fans and ready to be appreciated by the OGs. This game is truly special to me, so it means everything that the devs have captured that same feeling of nostalgia and adventure that a classic Trails game has, and it completely leaves me wanting more in the future. I wish for the Trails series to one day gain more traction, because these devs have talent. They can tell a beautiful story about a world that's so alive and has continued to grow over the past 20 years. And it's not just the art and scenery in this game that's beautiful, but also the soundtrack. It's like they've captured the OST in a time capsule and it's aged perfectly. You have the option in the settings to change from the remake OST, the arranged, or the original OST from 2004. So you have the freedom to choose the classic, the evolution, or the modern, and that's brilliant. And when I say they have made the soundtrack even greater, I mean every word. The Sky games to me always had the most unique soundtrack out of any Trails game, with a traptic ambience, upbeat jazz, and much more. So thank you genuinely to all of the composers over the years that have brought life to this wonderful series. Your music has brought a lot of meaning to my life and has allowed me to dive into a passion for reviewing games and appreciating art. And that just goes to show how much work and time has been put into perfecting this remake to bring it to new audience and as a love letter to the fans. This is truly the greatest remake I have seen for a classic RPG that captures everything I loved about the original. Of course, it's very different in some ways, but it still replicates that same nostalgia and beauty that the original created. I also want to mention that we gain full access to the whole of Roland to explore in this demo, which is crazy. And not only that, there are also 0 loading screens between on-field locations, which is insane for a Trails game. It makes gameplay seamless and satisfying, and wow, is this map huge. Especially for a demo, there's a large open area to explore with many chests to collect, and there's even a few dungeons to explore too, which gets me hyped up for the full release. I'm intrigued to see how large the full game will be, especially with the amount of side quests that are available in the demo, which by the way, they are brilliant. They introduce you to bracer work and serve as a way to learn about the world. As with most Trails games, you'll be getting a lot of lore and world building from these side quests. Unfortunately, we don't have access to fishing, but I can't wait to try it out in the full release if it's here. And of course, because this is a demo, I won't be reviewing it as a finished product. That's why I've left some details out so I can make better use of them in a full review when the full product releases in September. So instead of a final score, let's answer those 2 questions we asked at the beginning. Is this an effective demo? Yes, absolutely. It grips you in with nostalgia as a Trails fan and draws you in as a newcomer. It comes with 10 plus hours of content and introduces you not only to modern Trails mechanics, but also classic mechanics, making it a great starting point and a great demo that makes you want to play the full release. And finally, does Trails in the Sky first chapter capture the heart of the original? So far, it captures more than the heart. It recreates the beauty and adventure of the original, and it doesn't change its identity, but it doesn't reject change either. It's a remake that respects the original and recaptures what made the beginning of the Trails series so special. So I'm extremely excited to play the full release, not only as a Trails fan or an RPG fan, but so I could share with you my full thoughts in a full in-depth review. So stay tuned for that, and if you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any feedback or criticism, let me know in the comments, it really helps. And with that, I'll be seeing you in the next one. Thank you for watching.